Hi everyone. On the occasion of Holi, wish you and your loved ones and your near and dear ones a very happy Holi. Today, I was just thinking, it's supposed to be a great festival here in India, and one of the things that actually popped in my head was, I'm in my 40s now, so what would the 40-year-old me tell the 20-year-old me? You know, it's just something that popped in my head. And, we've been talking about targeting, we've been talking about, a whole bunch of different things. And, one of the major things that, well, okay, the three things that I've always, been interested in that, I've been creating videos on. One is on marketing, the second is on technology trends and, the telecom space. And the third is on leadership. So, while this may not fall in either of the categories, I think it probably falls a little bit more on leadership because it's more like, I'm playing a mentor to myself, back in the day. So, when you're in your 20s, you're just basically getting, you're just starting your journey, right after college, or, you're still in college, it's fine. But then I'm not saying, I did everything wrong in my 20s, but then, now that I've always been a little bit of a bloomer, so, it's always taken me a little longer to kind of understand, certain things. So, but that's okay. So this was just, kind of me advising, myself, and I figured, if it helps somebody else, then, nothing like it. Um, when you're in your 20s, you're full of energy, you're full of, the zeal and whatnot. And I'm not saying, that dies over time. I think it's very important, to keep that alive. But then one of the most important things is, sometimes you just kind of need to let things, come to you, right? So, there's absolutely no replacement for, you have to keep grinding and, make sure, you don't lose focus. Obviously, there are no shortcuts. Every one of these YouTube videos that tell you, get rich quick, or, I made $1 million in, like 6 months or whatever it is, it's all bullshit. You know, I'm not saying it never happens. Sure, it does, but, luck has a lot to play with it, I'm sure. But the point is, there's no replacement for hard work. There's no replacement for, grinders. And if you look at all the top CEOs and the most successful people in the world, they are grinders. The only difference is they are grinders that also do a lot of smart work. So yes, hard work is necessary, and then, identifying, the smart way of doing things is definitely important. Along that same thought process, when you're in your 20s, you don't really, at least I did not, um, connecting the dots, so to speak. Like, I mean, obviously you get exposed to so much these days. But, being able to connect the dots and see how things are interlinked and intertwined, I think is, extremely important. So, you have to be able to develop the instinct, or, practice, changing from a macro view to a micro view, because, it's extremely important that you see things from a 10,000 feet level and what is actually happening on the ground. um, you know Ultimately, there's a reason why they say, the devil is always in the details. So, uh, I would say, stop skimming just, on the surface. Start digging deep, but be able to switch. You have to identify when you need to look at a macro view, when you need to look at a micro view. That is something that is, extremely important. And along with this, I would say, you know, asking loads of questions is so important. I mean, it's easy to take things at face value, especially when you're so much younger. But there's absolutely nothing wrong in asking a lot of questions. Sometimes, me personally, when I was in my 20s, I always used to think that, by asking a lot of questions, you looked ignorant and all that. But the truth is, I was ignorant because I did not ask those questions. You know what I mean? So, um, I think, being able to ask a lot of questions is extremely, extremely important, Um, so that is one thing that's another piece of advice that I would give the 20-year-old, self of mine. So, another thing is I've always been a proponent of you trying out as many things as possible, when you're in your 20s, so that by the time you're 30, you at least know what you want to do, right? But along with this, one piece of advice that I would always give myself is, the grass is not necessarily greener on the other side. A lot of times, we just think about the short term. It's almost like instant gratification, but it need not necessarily, be the case. I mean, this is definitely something that I have done, and if I when I look back, I mean, there's no regret, but then, maybe there are a couple of, decisions that I had taken in the past, which, I might have taken differently. So bringing that little bit of, long-term view is a little important. But while I say that, yes, do try out as many things as you can, um, with the caveat that, the grass is not necessarily greener on the other side. But the good thing is when you're in your 20s, if something doesn't work out, you have enough time to actually recover from it and learn from it, and grow grow to even higher heights. So that's another thing that I would say. Do not burn bridges. This is something that I mean, I've always believed in, but this is something I believe in so strongly that I would continue to, advise my younger self. The world is small, and especially with globalization and remote working and all these different things coming in, it's only getting smaller. So, not burning bridges is extremely important. Um, Appreciating the fact that there is always someone who knows more than you is just as important. When you're in your 20s, you think, you can take over the world, you don't want to listen to people. I get that, but then understanding that there is always somebody that knows more than you is humbling, but you know what? It's the truth. And going back to what I just talked about, trying a lot of different things. Another thing that I would also say is, in addition to picking your job, also pick your manager, wisely, because if you have the right manager or you have the right mentor, that's a relationship that's going to last a lifetime. It's always good to have somebody, you can bounce ideas off of, somebody that you can, go to, for advice. Whether you use it or not is a different thing, but then it's always good to get, a little more experienced perspective on things. And, that's what helps us grow. And there's absolutely nothing wrong in asking for help. This is something that I personally, wish I had, done a little more of, when I was in my 20s. But yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong in asking for help. I've always felt like, okay, I can take over the world, on my own. Sure, you can get to a certain point, but then, the moment you understand that it's better and a lot more fun when you do it together. And you actually need, help from a lot of people, that just kind of changes your perspective on things. That being said, it's easy. You go out, you hang out with your boys, you hang out with your girls. You're having a good time, and a lot of people talk shit. I mean, it's just the way it is. But the one thing I would say is, you can't complain about the game if you're not willing to play it. It's. I mean, take a sporting event for example. You're watching football, cricket, tennis, or whatever it is, and it's easy standing on the sidelines and pointing at a particular incident, or a play or something like that, and saying that, oh man, he didn't know what he was doing. If I were there, I would do it better. But guess what? You're not there. You don't know what he's going through or what she's going through. So, unless you're in the game, you're in no position to, talk about it and, give advice on, how it should be played. that is definitely something that I would tell myself. Um, Another piece of advice would also be, I come from a technical background. Yes, I've taken business courses and all that during my days. But it is extremely important. I mean, whether you have a business degree or not is a different issue. But it is extremely important to understand how business works and how money works. You know, I can't stress this enough because this is not only going to help you in your career, but it's also going to help you personally. So I would couple this as fiscal responsibility. It's easy to just kind of saving is easy, but to help to grow money is a lot harder. And so and if you're going to be in a very senior position, in an organization that you work with, or if you want to run your own business, if you do not understand how it works and how money works, you are not going to be an effective, business leader, so to speak. Yes, along with that comes empathy, how to, deal with people, the importance of presentation and communication skills. All these things are a factor. There's absolutely no doubt. But I think at a bare minimum, having an understanding of how business works is definitely definitely one of the most important things. And along with that, I would also say grinders definitely do well, but the important thing is also to realize that doing the same thing over and over again the same way and expecting the results to be different is probably stupidity. Yes, do the same things over and over again. That's just the nature of the beast. But if things are not working, if you're trying to do the same thing the same way, you tried it once, twice, maybe three times. You know what? At some point, you need to figure out that okay, we need to pivot and figure out a different way of doing the same thing. So that definitely comes in handy. Um, Cutting out all the noise is also extremely important. You're very at least most people are very impressionable in their 20s. It's easy to get influenced by what you see, what you read, what you hear, so on and so forth. But then I think it's extremely important for you to figure out what noise to cut out, because this is definitely going to play into whether how you're able to keep your focus on a particular task. This is another one of the points that I brought up earlier. Another thing is leveraging the power of technology. That is so important, in this day and age. I've been a tech geek as long as I can remember, and when I got into Facebook, even before it was open to the public, and all these other social media websites, LinkedIn, and so on and so on. But then at that time, I never realized, the power of social media. I mean, obviously over the years now I know, but that is a piece of advice that I would definitely give my younger self. Leveraging the power of technology, leveraging the power of social media. Yes, there are drawbacks. That's something that we'll leave for some other day or some other video. But leveraging the power of technology and social media is definitely something that I would tell my younger self. And in conclusion, the importance of family and a support system. I cannot stress this enough. It is so important because you will fail multiple times, and figuring out how you're going to get back up and keep going, that makes all the difference in the world. Family helps. It could be you going to the gym, whatever it is. Having a support system and family is probably the most important thing, in this equation. I can't stress that enough. And, I think it's sometimes we kind of put that on the back burner. Um, Probably not the wisest of things, but then, the age is that way. You're in your 20s, you feel like you can take over the world, you can do everything on your own. But that need not necessarily, be the case. So, on the occasion of Holi, I just figured I would make this quick video. Maybe, when I'm in my 50s or, in my 60s, I might have another video, looking back and advising, my 40-year-old self. But for now, that's it. Wish you all a very happy Holi. Take care. And I'll see you guys in the next one.